久しぶりだな、麦わら。
Welcome back, everyone. We are here today with round 2 at the Galaxy Gaming Store Regionals. Today we have Jewelry Bonney taking on Red Purple Law. Red Purple Law on the play and Jewelry Bonney on the draw. Red Purple Law did not have a turn 1 play, but we see Jewelry Bonney Searcher being played on 2 Dawn for our Bonney player here, deciding what they want to pick up. And it looks like they're deciding on an Arouge here. That's going to be helpful on our 4 Dawn play. Now on Law's 3 Dawn play here, I would expect him to have some 3 costs, whether it be Zoro Juro, Shiraya, or potentially even the Chopper blocker. But I would first expect him to poke 5 at Bonney, or poke 5 at Life if he's planning to just bottom deck the Bonney. We do see him swinging 5 into the Bonney here, tapping 3, playing down the Shiraya, unlikely to use the leader effect until the following turn. So on 4 Dawn here, we see Bonney quickly poking 5, not worth investing Dawn with the Shiraya out there, and then playing down the Arouge, keeping the leader ability active. And with the leader ability active, I would imagine you do see a swing from Shiraya here. Well, I guess technically it doesn't really matter if you swing with leader or Shiraya. One 5k body is going to end up being rested. Looks like Law is debating about playing down a 4 cost to potentially remove the Arouge prior to swinging, but he may not want to have whatever he's played down be rested if it's a Bonclave for the ramp, given that's just a pretty easy clear from our Bonney player. Albeit, I think at this point in the game, Shiraya is probably a higher priority target than the Bonclave, given that you're unlikely to play down anything too big for another turn or 2. So resting the Shiraya would give you time to be able to also rest the Bonclave on a future turn. But we do see the Bonclave played out to ramp a Dawn, and then we do see the Raise Max come down to get rid of the Arouge here, with Law playing out a Ein to be able to ramp an additional Dawn, so leader really only costing 1 this turn. And now we do have an additional Dawn here to be able to invest, and he is going to choose to swing with the Shiraya, making it a 6. And you do see Bonney resting the Bonclave. With Shiraya now being rested, it's going to be a much easier clear of the Bonclave. I think personally, if it were me playing the Law at that point, I would have most likely just swung 6 with lead, forcing the Bonney player to choose which target to prioritize. But now you're going to see him poke 5 into the Bonclave and play the Hawkins, which is going to be a sticky body unless the Law player is playing the Fire Fist event. Particularly sticky considering that Law had just played a Raise Max on the previous turn, and 2 additional reducers would be required to get rid of the Hawkins. And it would have to be the Raise Max or Gordon, not the Otama, because if you play the Otama, the Hawkins can just rest the Otama. The Law player is now up to 6 Dawn this turn, and with the Bonney having tapped out to play Hawkins last turn, you are not going to have the Bonney leader ability active, so you do have potentially 3 swings this turn if you also want to swing out with the Shiraya. The way the Law player has their Dawn separated, it seems as if they're likely going to play a 4 cost as opposed to a 5 cost kid or a queen this turn. They may not have either of the 5 cost blockers in hand at this point. Okay, so it looks like Law is going to prove me wrong and play the 5 cost kid here. Likely going to use the leader ability just to be able to get another body on board while ramping an additional active Dawn, which would allow you to swing 5-7 if you want, or really just 7 so that he doesn't get the free block in Hawkins. He is going to poke 5 at leader with Shiraya. I would imagine you're going to counter out of that. He's going to poke 5 again. And we're going to see Hawkins take the free block, knowing that he would only have to give a 1K counter if our law player decided to swing 7 into the Hawkins as opposed to lead. If he swings into lead, he's likely just going to take it going down to 2. That is a bit scary for the law player, or for the Bonney player rather, because now Kid Killer is active and Law has gone pretty wide on board, having played the Shachi Penguin off the leader ability, so as the leader ability didn't cost any Don that turn, with the 2 ramp from Shachi and Penguin and the 1 from Kid. With 8 Don for our Bonney player, I would imagine that this is either going to be a second Hawkins, a Hody to be able to help try and clear board, or the 8 cost Kid. Although I'm not sure that the 8 cost Kid is really too effective at this point without the Don to put under the Kid. But he's going to tap 7, going down to 1 life, tapping the Kid and the Shachi Penguin. And then you're going to see the Hody swing 8 into 6 for the 5 cost Kid. Law, depending on how many cards he has in hand, is likely going to counter out of that swing, trying to save the Kid or force the Hawkins swing. But he does let it go. And now I would imagine you're just going to see a 5 at probably the Shariah for the Bonney. He does up swinging 5 here. Let's see who he's targeting. He is going to target the Shariah. I would imagine, again, as the law player here, you're going to give at least 1 card to protect the Shariah. Force him to swing out with the Hawkins if he wants to clear another body. We do see Law give up the 2K, the Sanji 2K. Now Bonney is likely debating on whether they want to swing with the Hawkins to try and clear an additional body, but being at 1 life and with the threat of Kid Killer in hand, unless your hand is just chock full of counter, you're more than likely just going to leave the Hawkins standing. And even with a handful of counter, you're likely to just leave the Hawkins standing just because you don't want to use up your counter ahead of your 8 cost Kid turn, because we did see that he had an 8 cost in hand. He does end up passing back to the law player, who now is going up to 8 Don this turn, having 4 potential swings into life. I think that this is going to be a pretty good turn for Law, especially if they do have the Kid Killer. They're likely going to be able to pressure down life for the Bonney, as well as get a few cards out of hand ahead of the 8 cost Kid turn. We are going to see Law swing 7 here with Shariah. Bonney going to use the leader ability to rest Ein. We have 6 Don left remaining up to this point, so you're going to be able to swing potentially 7 with Shachi Penguin, 7 with lead, and then potentially 9 if you have Kid Killer. But Bonney does take the 7 here, so we see another 7 from the Shachi Penguin. That's telling me that he most likely does have the Kid Killer. And we see 3 1Ks to get out of a 7K swing, which is telling. So we're going to see the 9 from the leader. And then -3 to play out another Shariah. So it doesn't look like he did have the Kid Killer, but he was able to get some hand knowledge, knowing that there aren't really any 2Ks outside of the potential draw for turn in the Bonney's hand. And now with Bonney having no blockers and 0 life, with our law player having 4 bodies on board plus the leader, it's really just going to be GG's at this point. I would imagine you see Bonney here just play down the 8 cost Kid and then pressure some of the board with the leader and Hody swings. If Law has any sort of reduction in hand for the 8 cost Kid, yeah, it's likely just going to be game. So we see Law counter out of the Bonney swing with a 2K Otama. Now, whatever Hody's swinging into is likely just going to go, because it looks like Law only has 1 card left in hand. I'm not sure what you're debating on at this point. If you do only have the one card left, you don't really have a way to counter out of it. So he does end up letting the Shachi and Penguin go down. And now we're going to see most likely the 8-cost kid, yep. And not having a blocker to play off of the kid either yet. Any sort of Gordon or Raise Max at this point, you're going to be able to just get rid of the kid pretty easily and then just swing heavy into face for game. So let's see if he does have it as the law player. We've only seen one this game, I believe. So he's going to play the Reiju, try and draw into it. Given that he isn't snap playing the reduction. Okay, so he is playing it now. He does have it. So now we're able to swing, what, 5, 5, 5, 7. And then hopefully you do have the Kid Killer. And we're going to see leader poke 5. Him use leader ability. Okay, so that's right. So it's just going to be 5, 5, 7, not 3 5s. And Bonney did counter out with the baby 5 2K. So that does mean that he drew a 2K for turn last turn, but that he doesn't have any 2Ks remaining in hand. So you're pretty safe to swing 7 here if you want to just go ahead and clear the kid. But we're going to see a 5 first, testing the hand. He lets it go, so you just immediately just swing 7 here, knowing that he doesn't have any 2Ks in hand. It looks like Law is debating about it. I think being at 3 life, you're not at risk of dying even if he does have Rush in his hand. So you just go ahead and swing the 7 here, knowing that he doesn't have any 2Ks. So we see that our Bonney player is a bit bricked up, having, looks like, no counter in hand. So yeah, our Law player is going to take it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe.